Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant aka Admin Doug continues to protect our freedoms.
I'm curious about a guy named Peter Thiel who co-founded PayPal, built the CIA surveillance system, installed a vice president, took $40 million from Jeffrey Epstein, and has openly said democracy doesn't work. And I'm curious why that's not on the news every single night.
Good morning, YouTube. Drill Sergeant here. And before I leave to take my sabbatical, if you will. Next Monday, I'm going to be taking 3 weeks off so I can finish my documentaries for different candidates I got going on. And I got a special guest host coming for you, Crash Dummy. I've interviewed him before. I'll put that right here. And a really, really smart, talented, and engaging guy. I think it's going to be great for the channel. But before I leave to go on my sabbatical, there's some topics that I don't usually cover because it's just too dense, it's too in-depth, and it's a whole thing. It's what it is, it's a whole thing. But I found this, what you're about to watch, is the way that you do this, the way that you can make it palatable for a long enough period of time to actually convey the information. Check this out. It's amazing. It's genius. I love it. We'll come back at the end.
I'm curious about a guy named Peter Thiel who co-founded PayPal, built the CIA surveillance system, installed a vice president, took $40 million from Jeffrey Epstein, and has openly said democracy doesn't work. And I'm curious why that's not on the news every single night. Thiel co-founded PayPal with Elon Musk, sold it to eBay for $1.5 billion, and in 2003 he started a company called Palantir, named after the Seeing Stones in Lord of the Rings, the ones the Dark Lord Sauron used to spy on everyone and corrupt anyone who touched them. And he named a surveillance company after that on purpose. Most villains at least try to be subtle. The CIA gave Palantir its first investment through a fund called Incompatible that has received $1.2 billion of your tax dollars since 2011. So we help fund a surveillance company that now charges the government nearly $1 billion a year to use our own data against us. We paid to build the thing that watches us. Cool. Palantir builds the software that the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and ICE all use to track people, and ICE paid them $30 million to build something called Immigration OS. It pulls your passport, your social security number, your tax records, your license plate scans, and gives you a score like a credit score, but for whether you get deported. The Israeli military uses Palantir's AI to identify targets in Gaza. UN report found it was used in what they called unlawful use of force, causing mass civilian casualties. This is a company launched with your tax dollars being used to decide who lives and who doesn't. Thiel has said in writing that he doesn't believe freedom and democracy are compatible. He follows a philosophy called the Dark Enlightenment that says democracy is a failed experiment. Society should be run like a corporation with a CEO king at the top. A government is supposed to work for the people. We literally invented this country on that idea, and he wants to replace it with a subscription. We never agreed to that. We can't cancel one of his side quests is giving private lectures, warning about the Antichrist, which he describes as someone who uses surveillance and fear to control the world, and then points at Greta Thunberg as if the teenage activist risking her life to bring food to the people whose lives his technology is destroying is the problem. Thiel mentor JD Vance at Yale hired him, gave him $15 million for his Senate race, the largest single donation in Senate history. And Vance went from calling Trump America's Hitler to becoming his vice president. Apparently for $15 million you can just buy a vice president. That must be on the secret billionaire menu. He's the anchor investor in a fund that builds charter cities, privately governed zones with their own laws wasn't no democracy. They built one in Honduras. The president who approved it was convicted of trafficking 400 tons of cocaine, and Trump just pardoned him. Thiel-backed companies have been exploring Greenland since 2019. The ambassador to Denmark is Thiel's PayPal co-founder, and Ronald Lauder, the billionaire who John Bolton says put the idea of buying Greenland in Trump's head, is now quietly buying up Greenlandic companies through a Delaware shell company. And if that wasn't bad enough, Thiel appears 2,200 times in the Epstein files. They had a 5-year relationship, over 2,000 messages. Epstein invested $40 million in Thiel's fund through former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. That investment is now worth $170 million, the single largest asset in a dead sex trafficker's estate, held in a trust Epstein signed 2 days before he died in a cell where the cameras weren't working. Through Barak, Thiel and Epstein both invested in a company called Carbine that handles 911 calls. So when you call for help in certain cities, your data flows through a company funded by a surveillance billionaire, a former Israeli prime minister, and a convicted sex trafficker. So just to recap, one guy built the surveillance system, collected the data, helped pick the targets, took money from a sex trafficker, installed the vice president, doesn't believe in democracy, is building a private country, named everything after a dark lord, and lectures people about the Antichrist. And somehow he's not the main character on the news, he's not even a side character, and nobody's even asking. We've all seen some version of this movie before, except in this one. Nobody is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves.
Yeah, so that's why I don't talk about it. I mean, the seeing stone, the dark seeing stone, if you watch the video, you'll know the company I mean when I say the dark seeing stone. They use AI, though. They use AI. That means that they're oostbid. See, if you're a human, you can kind of get the context of what I'm saying, but AI can't. And so we're going to have to do all types of different ways of speaking sometimes when we start talking like this, and different titles that have different meanings, that things like AI cannot get around. And half of what this is an experiment. Like, we'll see if everything I've been doing is getting like 2,000 views or whatever it is. But when I do a title like this, and I do a little bit of weird vocalizations and different wordings, if I get 30,000, then you'll know exactly that I was correct. If not, you'll try something else. But we're smarter than that. We're smarter than AI, at least. We're human beings, even though they only see us as cogs in a wheel. That will be our greatest advantage, because intelligent people, human beings, get context, inference. We can indeed deduce from fact points. AI cannot. They regurgitate. They collect information and regurgitate trends, possibilities. We can beat that. If we're smart, we can beat that. But you got to know that it's there first. So you'll see really smart people starting to do really cool videos talking about the things that only those who know would know, like the Dark Seeing Stone Company. You'll know what that means now. You know what it means when you hear me say, fight the system. You'll understand why I say it like that. And those of you who understand can relay the message. This is something that I learned, not just in the military, but you learn it in the military, and it's a way of open coding things. We're going to start using that. You're going to start seeing titles that look weird. Don't be afraid to click on it. Thumbnails that seem opposite to what I usually do. It's only because I'm fighting the system, and that's it. You got me, right? Because the time to fight is now. The tools will be different, strange, but creative. Those who fight against us are not. That's why we'll win. The time to fight is now.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.
That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.